Hello, welcome back to the Culture Cave. I'm here with Emmett, and we're going to be talking about Sisyphus. How are you, Emmett?
I'm doing good. And if you want me to give you the lottery numbers, all you need to do is hit like, subscribe, and hit the bell as well.
Excellent. And you'll pop up them. We'll put them in next week's episode if they.
Yeah,
If
exactly. And everyone will see them, but
yeah,
at least you'll get a bit of the pie.
yeah.
It's all right.
Exactly. Yeah. So that'll be great. That'll be great. Although we'll not tell you which country it's for, though. So you have to do it in
Yeah.
every single
Oh,
country.
that's the fun part. You have to try and piece together. Is it like, did we do it for where we live? Did we do it for where you live? Oh, who knows?
Yeah. It's
Or
exactly.
did we do it? Did we do the lottery in South Korea?
There'll be
That'll be interesting.
clues. There'll be clues throughout the episode to let you know where we did it. Okay, so this week's episode of Sisyphus, I'm just going to start out. I'll first of all say subscribe. Emmett's already done it, but subscribe and like the video. It would be great. Really do appreciate it, guys. I will say straight away, this episode seems like a shift in tone a little bit. It seems like
Yeah.
they've replaced the sort of silly aspects or sort of over the top aspects in a way. They have still a little bit of it, like let's get into the Jackie Chan slide down the building later, but
Oh yeah, yeah.
they've replaced a lot of that and added in a little bit of like a horror aspect to it. Like there's the start of this episode was actually quite a little bit scary.
Yeah, quite harrowing because we see a few people sort of coming back in time, and we get to see that maybe the process isn't completely 100% sorted out because a couple of these people who come back in time don't survive the trip. We'll
Yeah.
put it that way. In fact, only one of the people who is sent back actually survives, and he does not look in the best of states.
Well, it did show him. This is the thing. Actually, it's interesting. I don't know. Some of them definitely weren't surviving coming back. I think they were,
Yeah,
but also it also showed him sort of coming into being. Am I under the wrong impression that whenever he came through in, he was changing as he was moving towards? Wasn't he? His face was changing as he was moving towards the security guard.
yeah. It was like he was loading in
Yeah,
slowly. It was like the textures hadn't fully like registered yet, but
which
like
is
it
which is
seemed like he was.
interesting.
Yeah, and I think part of the reason that maybe he looks the way that he does, we had a bit of a discussion beforehand on what he looked, but I said he looked like a salamander,
Yeah.
with the weird sort of skin and stuff like that. But I feel like the reason that he looks the way that he does is because like maybe not all of him made it through the trip, you
Yeah.
know, like
Oh,
so like
yeah. I think well that character is definitely the character who we now have to start thinking who it could be. Like if you show a distorted person who's been distorted through the time travel, he is going to be someone we know. Think that's for certain. I've got an idea of who I think it is, but I like the idea of like maybe like he traveled back in time in a hurry while being pursued by someone, so he didn't put all the things in incorrectly to get back, or maybe he actually went back in time before the technology was fully sorted out for people to use
yeah,
it.
before it's perfected.
Before
Yeah.
it was perfected. So my idea, I don't know about you, but my idea is we had a little bit of an inkling in this episode from old Eddie Kim, the CEO of Quantum and Time. We had a little bit of an inkling from him that he's maybe got a little bit of jealousy going in terms from towards Hante Sul. So I'm actually thinking that might be him. I'm gonna predict that I think the Bubble Man or the Salamander Man is actually Eddie Kim. That's my prediction.
The unfinished man, the time traveler.
Yeah.
Again, he would be probably our best bet for who could possibly be, that focused on it because we do. Yeah, a lot of this episode does revolve around the sowing the hints of the fact that there's this growing resentment between the two because good old Eddie is very play by the like rules kind of guy. He wants to like he's very business focused, whereas like Hante Sul, because of some of the tragedy that he's experienced with his brother, he's less focused on making the shareholders and stakeholders
Mm-hmm.
feel great. So
Well,
like yeah,
another idea. Like I'm full of ideas here now. This show's
oh yeah,
really got me predicting now. Another thing which I think could be the case, and I haven't settled on either one, but another thing that could be the case is that through discovering about this time travel, and through finding out more about it, and like through actually creating it, because I imagine Hante Sula is going to be the one who uses the technology and he eventually creates it. My idea would be that he actually decides that he needs to not create it because maybe that's the only way to save his brother. So I think that potentially Hante Sul may be the Bubble Man or the Salamander Man. I think it could be either him or Eddie Kim. He could be going back to kill himself so that he saves his brother by doing so. I do think that character looked a little bit too evil to possibly be Hante Sul. I think he looked like he was instead of trying to save his brother by doing it, he did look like he was trying to get retribution. So maybe not him. The performance didn't hint at that, but there's definitely an idea there.
Yeah, well, obviously, I am curious about this, and I'm wondering if you're curious about it too, because obviously, the keynote speech is going on, and Eddie Kim begins it, and and his girlfriend, Hante Sul's ex-girlfriend, sort of amps him up a little bit, being like, "This is your moment to shine."
Yeah.
And then, of course, Hante Sul comes in and sort of steals the show from him a bit, and you can see him, being a little bit frustrated, having his moment to shine taken away. But the mysterious man, the time traveler, the half-finished person, like, he sets up his sniper, and like,
I was thinking this too, actually, just then.
Yeah, he has a picture of Hante Sul to take a shot of, but my question is, which possibly indicates to me that maybe he's not either of the two men,
because he looked like he was about to shoot Eddie Kim, but then when he said my name is. He didn't say Eddie, but he said, my name is Kim, and he took his finger off the trigger because he's like, oh, that's not my guy. That's a good point. It probably isn't either of them then.
Yeah, and then he had a photo of Hante Sul to sort of shoot from as well. But the fact that, like, Hante Sul's on the stage for quite a bit of time, but he doesn't shoot, and if his mission is to kill Hante Sul, why was he just waiting for a good long while?
It's almost as if he wants Hante Sul to be dead, but he also wants the technology to be out in the world. Like, he wants people to know that it exists before he kills them.
Yeah, maybe he's trying to, like, reveal it to the world before, that can happen. And then, obviously, this is the moment where finally Sohae's and Hante Sul's paths actually intercede. She comes in and, like, basically, tells him to duck, And he does.
Maybe that saved his life. I would imagine. I personally believe, because this is called Sisyphus, and it's about like repeating the same thing over and over again. I'm pretty sure that this is exactly what happened last time. So I don't think it's changing anything. I think that's what. I think originally she was there, and I think because I think that potentially now, because he's like missing. Is it maybe potentially now that the world never finds out that he's still alive? So therefore she came back in time thinking that he died there?
Yeah, possibly. And it could be, because obviously we see with Eddie Kim that the board of directors is trying to push him into ousting Hante Sul. So maybe, again, the injuring him in this sort of way or letting him get captured was the intention, because, it will force him out of the company and will mean that, the people like Eddie Kim and the board of directors will get to decide what's done with the teleportation technology that Hante Sul has literally just unveiled to the stakeholders.
I thought that was pretty backhanded, to be honest with you.
Like they because they want the technology, but they don't want to have to deal with Hante Sul's sort of tempestuous sort of personality and like his blasé nature to them. They want to have full control over it. Very capitalist of them.
Exactly.
Very focused on the money.
Yep. So we can talk a little bit maybe about just a small amount about the action now. Like the action itself. What did you think? Like there was a few moments, like up until this point, I've really enjoyed the action in the show. I think it's obviously been a little bit over the top in certain regards, but that's what we're here for. But I think this time. I still enjoyed it. I enjoyed it, and there was moments where I like the call back to Jackie Chan going down the roof. That really felt like a callback to that for me. It's like the stunt guys are like, this is what we're doing. This time it was very clear they didn't do it themselves, whereas I think Jackie Chan did actually do that back in the day.
Green screen was a little rough this episode. There was a lot of green screen shots that maybe weren't done to the highest quality, which sort of took you out of the action a bit. Like sliding down the building being one of the big ones where it's like it's very clear there that it's a green screen. But there's a couple of other moments, even like when they were in the car and having the gun standoff at one point in the car. Like there was a bit of green screen in there that was pretty easy to notice as well. And usually I'll a bit of slack when it comes to that stuff because it is complicated work, but it kind of took me out of the action a lot of times this episode. Whereas I think they handled the green screen a little bit better in earlier episodes. Maybe that, again, it was just there was a lot of it this episode. Maybe.
Yeah, I think it's because there's a lot of it. The budget is stretched thinner,
Yeah.
so therefore they have less time on each shot. So the lighting isn't quite right, and you can tell that they're sort of on the green screen. But at the same time, like it didn't really take it. Maybe for a split second, it takes you out of the scene. But overall, in terms of the mystery of the show, the actually it's so compelling in what's actually happening that little moments like that, it's forgiven for them. I think we have to admit that this is a South Korean show that's got a smaller budget than something we'd be used to from, say, HBO or something. So we have to just give it that slack. So the little moments throughout this action scene of like Hae and Han Tae-sul finally sort of getting to know each other, and Han Tae-sul notices that she is the woman from the picture of his wedding, and
Yes.
she's really sort of dismissive of him in a way, like she's just like she's angry at him.
I suppose that's a very natural thing. Like if you met someone on the street and they held up a photo of you and like at a wedding with them, and you literally just met them, it'd be like, this is uncomfortable. Like this is like, even if you're aware of the concept of time travel, because it's like you're sort of seeing your own fate before, and like I think there's like a natural sort of human reaction to wanna like not have your fate dictated by an outside force. You want to feel like you have, maybe that's just me, like you want to feel like you have like control over your life. So if like someone came, I know some people are big into fate. I'm not fate to me is a horrifying concept, because it's like everything that you do is sort of already decided, which again, if the show goes the way that we think it will, could be an element of the actual program itself,
Yeah, I personally, the way it read to me, and that's what made me start thinking that the bubble man could be Han Tae-sul. Don't think he is anymore based on our discussion earlier, but what led me thinking that possibly, I was thinking like, she had sort of the air that she kind of knew. She is from the future, remember, so she kind of knew that this was her husband in my mind, and possibly like she was angry at him because she was saving him from himself, like she was just like, she had anger from him based on something that happened in her past, but not in his future, So I kind of, she wasn't really giving anything away to whether she actually knows him or not yet. You know what I mean?
Yeah. She to me, I'd read her as being like she knows him in the sense of like she has been sent back to do whatever she needs to do. But I do think that like this, from her perspective, might be like the first time that they've like got to know each other, in the sense of like, just the way that she reacts to like him, in the sense of like, she's confused by the photo as well. Whereas like I feel like if this was in her past, she would have been like, she might have like had a more emotive response to it. Like she might have like snatched the photo away or something like that if it was like a memory of hers. Whereas, I feel like to her this is as equally as shocking as it was to Han Tae-sul, where she's like, what am I doing there?
Okay, yeah.
Why am I in a wedding dress? She's confused.
Yeah, well, I could see that happening. Yeah, definitely, I could see that being the case. Okay, so last thing I want to talk about then. There's two things actually. First is Mr. Park, and the second thing is, well, it's basically the same thing, because they eventually take the two main characters to the time travel person coming back in time. So first of all, what do you think of Park? What do you think of his little secret room? What do you think of the goggles?
The brokers, so to speak. Like he describes himself as a small businessman, but basically, he is. We had sort of discussed it before, that he seems to be like a person that helps people who come back in time avoid the control bureau, which is a bit like, to me, works from a world building standpoint of, there probably would be like a criminal underground for that sort of stuff. If it's regulated by the control bureau, there would obviously be a criminal organization that would be looking to take advantage of it, and it means that there's an extra threat in the way, because it's like if you want to avoid the control bureau, you have to pay tolls to the brokers to be able to make it back without getting killed. So it's very interesting.
Yeah.
And his little setup is simple but like effective, because it's like they're a small organization with like goggles and stuff like that to like be able to tell where people are going to time jump to, so that they can go and collect them before the control bureau turns up.
Yeah, like
Very happy.
there's a lot of like sort of little cool things that happen in there, and like they go and get the guy. I don't really know if there's much for us to discuss yet. I think it's set up an awful lot for next episode. I'm looking forward to
Oh, definitely.
Hante Sul questioning them and finding out more of what's going on. I think this might be an example of in like a show that's showing us the moment, the paradox, the paradox, bootstrap paradox of Hante Sul learning about the technology that he's going to create.
Well, I think Hunter was always like looking to create it, so it's going to be a moment for him where it's like, oh, I succeeded.
Yeah, maybe.
It's that's weird to think about. Like I made time travel. Oh, that's crazy. And we've seen in like the next episode preview that the fella seems to know a little bit about Hante Sul's brother.
Yeah.
And is so there's a lot. We're going into this next episode with a good sort of vibe to it. I feel like we're going to start getting some more answers because it's been a lot of mystery so far with maybe not a lot of answers, and I think we're slowly building up to more.
Yeah, and I actually don't know if this is a one series and done or if they're going to continue this on after. I think there's like 16 episodes this season, but I don't know if they're going to continue it after. So I don't know if we're going to get all the answers even this season. I don't know how it's going to work, or whether it's a one-off. Maybe I'll need to look that up and see if it is. But I want to avoid spoilers.
Sure,
so
find a spoiler-free guide.
Yeah, I don't know how I'll do that. Maybe we'll just wait and see. But yeah, so really, really enjoying it. Really great show. What I thought we'd do to end off the discussion today in the Discord, guys. If you want to join the Discord, there's a link in the description, and we have discussions about all the different shows we cover on the channel, as well as the movies and all that sort of thing. Eric Glim has put in a comment into the Discord all about his thoughts on the episode, and there's some really great thoughts here. So I thought, just because Eric's put in the effort here, I'm going to go through and we'll sort of make a few comments on things that he said here. So first of all. He says he's warming up to the show, and I think that's a really cool point to make. I personally I knew I was going to be covering it. We decided to do it, so no matter what it was about, we were going to do it. But I think now I'm really looking forward to watching each episode, each time.
Yeah.
So I think I agree.
It's ramping up very quickly. The first two episodes was there was a lot of hit and miss stuff, but now it's getting a little bit more solidified in its tone and its storyline.
Yeah, exactly. So Eric says it's gaining confidence that it was well planned. Subtitles for the news report said that it was 72 hours since Taesul was shot. It also says the suspect identified when an earlier news report said they were identified as an anti-corporate activist. Saying that it's 72 hours later means that they were tied up for 3 days. Either they were tied up for 3 days, and this is how they're telling us that. Eric thinks that's unlikely. Or this is the near future broadcast that the Time Entrepreneur has access to. So Mr. Park has access to that broadcast. What do you think of that? Do you think that this is like 3 days have passed, or do you think it's like actually time from news from the future?
I would. It would be very weird if it was like 3 days. They were tied up for 3 days. I feel like things are moving too quickly for them just to be tied up for 3 days. So I think I would lean to the idea of like if Mr. Park has this technology to to be able to detect when time travelers are coming from the future, they probably do have some ways of predicting the future, and maybe getting news broadcasts from the near future is one of their methods.
Yeah,
which would be very cool. Because like just thinking about like. Even imagine if that was the only like time travel element that you had, that you could pick up news broadcasts from just a little bit in the future.
Yeah.
That's very interesting in its own right, because you can do a lot with like 24 hours notice, if you get me.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that would be enough. That would be enough of a setup for a show in itself. Yeah.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah. Okay. Eric also says, I noted the calling out of the USA in the gun deaths, and then he says accurate.
Yes. For reference, there's we briefly referenced it, but they have a little gun standoff when they're in the car, and like Hante Sul is like, can we sort this out without guns? We're not America, and very true. Unfortunately, in America, and unfortunately in a lot of American TV shows, guns are used as a way of resolving conflicts a bit too often. Not to get too political.
Yeah, and I also thought that was like, I could imagine them when they're making it. They're thinking of themselves, like, what are we going to do? Like, people in Korea aren't going to believe that this is real because everyone's using guns. Like, so they're like, well, we'll just put in a thing saying we're not America. So therefore, they'll be like, yeah, okay, this is out of the ordinary. We need to show the world that this is out of the ordinary.
Yeah, we do a little bit of lampshade hanging there, just playing around with it. I feel like that's also something that could be said in most places around the world. Like, even here with our history, I feel we'd be like, like, hey,
Yeah.
we're not America. Come on.
Yeah, exactly. All right, okay, so we still have no idea what quantum and time does.
Yeah, oh my God.
The teleporter seemed to be the tech that the company is founded on, with 20,000 employees and 80,000 subcontractors, including customer service. Now, years after this is a successful company with a well-known CEO. Well, I don't think he's CEO. He's like the president or something. The CEO is Eddie, I think, but I don't really know how that works. They reveal the tech.
Stuff.
Yeah, they reveal the tech they've been working on. Even if you had nearly unlimited investors based off of proof of concept, you don't pay 100,000 to do R&D, pre-production, and marketing hype. What do they make?
Yeah, this is we've been sort of discussing this a little bit since the start of the show. It's like, what does quantum and time do?
Yeah.
What have they been doing in the lead up to, like, because you assume they have to, because not only is this like a successful company, but even before the plane crash, like Huntersville was kind
known.
of celebrity.
Yeah,
one well known. So you would have to do something to release it, but I don't think they even mentioned in passing any of the stuff that they've released. And it would be so easy for like a news broadcast or something like that just to be like, inventor of blah, 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 and like put it in that way. And it's like, it's quick and it's a little bit lazy, but like, just like maybe a hint of what they've been doing leading up to the first ever teleportation thing that they did, which was very cool, but still very small scale as well. Like
Sugar Cube.
They teleported the Sugar Cube, but not underplaying that. That would obviously, if we figured that out in the real world, that would be huge.
I know,
For such a massive company, you would be like, if this was the first thing that they unveiled, how have they survived this long?
Yeah. Well, one last question before we go then. How did he actually tell the Sugar Cube to go into his cup? Like, did he have a watch on or something that made it? How did he literally pointed there and it? You know what I mean? He was able to control the sugar in the air.
Yeah, I think it was probably like I think he was doing that for like a bit of dramatic flair. I imagine, at least to my mind, it would be like
he pre-programmed
longitude, latitude. Like he would program where it's supposed to go, and that's just like the little effect, because we see it with the people teleporting back in time, where like they sort of like flicker in like that as well.
Yeah.
So it's like, I guess it's like your like molecules or whatever moving, and it's just a very visual thing. So I think he was just being like, oh, look what I'm doing. I'm being Hantesul, I'm magical. Because he set it up like a magic trick. So I think he was playing into that.
He was playing into being a magician.
So I think he was like he programmed where it was going to go, and then just like followed along with it. So it's probably like some sort of like, you type in the coordinates, longitude, latitude, etc., and then it goes there, and then that's how it happens. But I don't know. I'm not a scientist. Neither are the writers of this show, but you get what I mean.
I'd imagine you're probably around the right thing. I will say as well, like, I just realized while you were saying that, Hay is actually glitching out sometimes, and I think that's probably because she's been put back in time through an underground. I think she's probably been put through like an unofficial channel of time travel. I think that's probably why she's glitching out and stuff.
I also probably think it's probably very dangerous. Also, sorry, one last thing I want to say. Like, they finally got to do, because they've been gagging for it the whole show. They finally got to drop the line of like, it's not where that's the problem. They've been saying that so often the last two episodes, and they finally got to drop the line where it's like, it's not where, it's when they come from. I'm like, oh, they've been gagging for that since episode 1, and I've loved that. But yeah, the glitches I think are like an indication that maybe time travel's not the safest thing for like humans, and we've seen that obviously with the Salamander Man and all those other people who didn't survive the travel. Because like the Sugar Cube, he described it as like, we're able to move like a silicone thing, but like moving a full organic compound is probably much more complicated and much riskier. So
I would think so. That's probably why like Kante Sul probably wouldn't have done it, because he thought, well, people will die before we get it right, and now he's seen it does work. He's like, well, we'll go through a few people now to get it done.
You assume that they probably did some tests on some live animals beforehand.
Or
you hope, Jesus.
You're hoping about live animals being taught. Okay, all right, we'll leave it
Yeah, I
there.
got.
We'll leave it there. Thanks very much for watching, guys. We'll be back with episode 4 next week. Like, comment, and subscribe. We'll say all 3, and you will get those lottery numbers. That is a promise, a Culture Cave promise for you. So thanks very much, guys, and we'll see you next week. Bye.